Remember that Pimp My Ride exhibit meme where he's like, hey, I heard you like this and that on top of your this and that, so we put et cetera, in your this and that. This 2021 Mercedes-AMG GT Black Series is the personification of that meme. Let me explain. You've got a spoiler here in the middle, you've got a full wing that's on the top, and then you've got this active aero bit that we've deployed in the middle of it all. So you've essentially got 3 spoilers in the back. How it all works, I don't understand it, but it works because this car did set an insane Nurburgring time. It was something like 6:46 back in the day. This car is an absolute track monster, and bits and pieces like this are what allow it to do such things. Now, I have to mention that much like a Porsche GT2 RS or a GT3 RS, this wing is also fully adjustable. So not only is it active, you've got adjustments over here that can adjust the pitch and angle of this spoiler. So let's take a look at some more other crazy bits, aero bits up front. So we've got a spoiler on top of a spoiler within a built-in spoiler, and we have a front lip within a front lip. This over here deploys from the bottom, and then it can latch and anchor inside the bumper behind this grille. Then we move on to the hood, where it's got a vent here, a vent here. The quarter panels have louvers here, and then at the bottom, the quarter panels have more ventilation to let hot air escape the wheel well. There is a lot going on. I mean, from an aero point of view, there is a never-ending sea of air flowing through this entire body. On top of that, you've got more air channels from the side skirts. If you look at the bottom of the side skirts, there are 2 air channels, the beginning and the end, leading to the rear wheels. Underneath this carbon fiber hood is the same but different 4-liter AMG V8, making 720 horsepower, 590 pound-feet of torque. It is a spaceship on wheels. It's so fast. Now, the most interesting part about this is that unlike traditional AMG cars, this is actually a mid-engine car. Now, you can say, oh, but the engine's in the front. No, the engine is considerably behind the center line of this front axle. It's really, really tucked in there, which does make this a front mid-engine car. One weird little quirk that I found on this car, and sorry for using that word, Doug. This car has very, very standard door handles. They're chrome. I don't think I've ever seen chrome door handles on a track car. If someone knows otherwise, please correct me in the comments down below. But this is basically a standard door handle off of any Mercedes. And it's just so funny to see all of this carbon fiber, all this black, and a chrome door handle. Now, overall, I have to say I'm a huge fan of this car's looks. It really, really reminds me of the Viper ACR, and I'm a big Viper fan. So this, to me, is like a German Viper with an automatic transmission, a dual clutch. With the crazy wings and the long hood and the louvers and all the dive planes and everything. I mean, it reminds me so much of the Viper, and that's not a bad thing. Overall, really, I have to say, high remarks for the styling of this car. It's all functional. None of this is tacked on. Job well done, AMG. Now, I just mentioned this carbon fiber hood. This entire one piece is massive. It's a lot of carbon fiber. That is the theme of this car right here. It's carbon fiber here, carbon fiber intake cover, carbon fiber front lip, carbon fiber dry carbon extra lip, and then you make your way out to the back and the side skirts. Carbon fiber, the entire spoiler in the back, carbon fiber. The trunk hat is all carbon fiber. In fact, it's a dry carbon as well on the inside of that hatch. And of course, what is a track car without a carbon fiber roof? There's so much carbon fiber in here, and yet, oddly enough, this car is not that much lighter than a GTR, AMG GTR. It's at 3,650 pounds. So we're not talking 3,200 pound GT3 RS. It's still a relatively hefty car, but doesn't drive like one.
If you like everything you've seen thus far, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Thank you for watching.
We now are sitting inside the Black Series. And I've got to say, it's an interesting experience being in here because, you know, I'm going to say this multiple times. You're looking out and there's this insanely long hood in front of you. But to focus more on the inside of the car, we've got a lot of things going on. All right, if you're not too familiar with how track vehicles work, generally, you've got a lot of your settings here over in the center console. Starting from the top, the first thing you're probably going to notice is a yellow dial that adjusts the traction control from 1 to 10 or off. So you can actually shut off the traction completely, or you can dial it in so you can have the rear end step out a little more, or you can kind of really have the traction super aggressive that basically won't let you have any fun with the car. You've got numerous modes, all standard stuff. In the GT Black Series, you start in comfort, you've got sport, you've got sport plus, you've got race, you've got slippery, then you can individualize, which obviously allows you to control and set up your own custom map, if it were. Once you go into individual, you can adjust your transmission settings, how firm, how fast, how slow, etc. you want the transmission to be, or how aggressive you want it to be. You can adjust your damper settings, your suspension. On top of that, you can also configure your exhaust sound. If you want it to be quiet, a little louder, or loud. Now, speaking of the screen, it's not touch screen. This is the old unit from Mercedes 2016 that once they started kind of using this little system, it does not have the rotary knob. It's just this touchpad over here. It's relatively simple to use, and you know, you click into it. It's got some tactile feedback to it. It's a little weird as well, and it's not the greatest when you're driving. I really wish this was either a touchscreen or had the rotary knob. You know, it's just a little weird. The rest of the interior is finished in carbon fiber here. Even that brace is carbon fiber, Alcantara all throughout. The seats are really nice, very comfortable. You would think for a track car that they'd absolutely kill you. They don't. Well, on top of that, you've got a Burmester high-end, that's the high-end line system over here. It sounds fantastic, as you would expect from a brand like Burmester. Oddly enough, no USB-C. This, again, is the interior from an older car. So you've got USB 2 in here. You've got 2 more USB ports in here. And this is a funny one. So the key fob battery on this car is actually dead. So we can't start it with the start-stop button. We're starting it manually by inserting the key fob and twisting it in here. So it's kind of fun. It feels a little old school to start a racing car, and let's call it that. You've got your camera settings up here. You're going to look around for some other things like your heated seats, but there's more buttons up here that are out of, I don't know, Metris or something. Cameras in the front and in the back. So that's how you mess with that. You don't have 360, but it's pretty good view. Now, if you don't want to adjust your suspension settings and your gearbox and your throttle and whatever have you, you can actually adjust all of that, change modes, just like a 911 through the steering wheel. So you've got a dial over here, and it's got a little screen on each side where you can go from slippery all the way down to race mode. And you've got another little tiny screen here with 2 buttons that show your gearbox settings. You can keep it in auto or manual, and your suspension settings where you can, again, go from comfort to sport and sport plus. Anyways, overall, despite the older tech, the switch panel over here is actually pretty nice. I love that fact that it just plainly focused on the Black Series and what the Black Series represents. I like that they haven't encumbered it with a bunch of other controls. It's purely controls for the car. It's essentially all the other controls for the AC are down here. They're very easy to use. I haven't really found myself messing around with the screen all too much. I mean, once you connect your phone to it, you know, you've got your media running as well. You're not really going to mess with this a whole lot. Once you set up and customize your car experience, or you want the lights on for 30 seconds, or you want lights off as soon as you lock the car and all that stuff, you're probably never going to touch any of these systems again. But anyways, overall, I have to say that once you get over a little bit of the learning curve and these funky little steering wheel buttons that adjust the display up front, once you get in place, it's a really nice interior. The doors, of course, being a Mercedes, they close well. And yeah, I really think it's time for a drive. Enough of this. All right, this is what a visceral moment. Man, this car has an insanely long front bonnet, I guess. Really long hood. This reminds me of when I first tried to drive a Viper. Unfortunately, I really couldn't see anything out of it, and I felt totally uncomfortable. This car really can go from being a pretty comfortable GT car, sort of, to a very aggressive race car. Everything really firms up in race mode. In fact, the changes between comfort, sport, sport plus, and race are all very, very noticeable, very different. The most obvious one actually being that you can hear the RPMs change as you're increasing your mode. So every mode, the RPM increases by about 150, 200 RPMs. It's pretty funny. We're gonna keep traction on, aero deployed, exhaust loud. So now we're gonna actually hit this really windy road over here. We're gonna get a feel for what the Black Series can do. Wow. Well, it's not slow. And 720 horsepower, 590 pound-feet of torque. Oh, yes. The major difference with this 4-liter versus other AMG 4-liters, this one is a flat plane crank. There we go, around a bend. Oh, yes. Okay. Brakes, really, really nice. This is a pretty rough road. It's a very bumpy road. I'm in race mode, actually. At the moment, it's not too terrible in race mode. This is a pretty, not a very pretty road. And I thought I'd be getting crushed. My spine would be, but no. It's pretty solid. Let's go around this bend. These brakes are phenomenal. Car rotates. Oh, yes. Okay. These Cup 2s. This is a little sandy, this road over here, so you can feel the car rotating, but the Cup 2s are still doing their job. The suspension is getting firmer and firmer as you go through the turn. Brakes are instant. Wow. My God, these brakes are touchy. Wow. Of course, this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. This did set a production record on the Nurburgring until a Manthey Racing GT3 RS beat it by 0.3 or 0.03 of a second. And so, you know, the Black Series has always been kind of the pinnacle for Mercedes. This is effectively the RS division for Mercedes. Not all Black Series cars have been RS worthy. Some of them kind of like more like a DTM car. The CLK 63 Black Series was. But man, this thing is massive, but handles like it's got a badge from Stuttgart. So, you know, this thing's impressive. Really impressive car. You can hear those bumps. They're little reflector markers. That's how sensitive the suspension is on this car. Very, very, very touchy. In race mode, I should clarify that. You know, the more you drive this car, you actually forget how big it is and how long that front end is. You kind of really get used to it. The car, cheesily enough, shrinks around you. So you do get that sensation of being kind of connected to the car. I think this car is pretty darn livable, to be completely honest with you. The steering feel is a huge plus. I can really feel everything that's going on with this car. And naturally, I don't know if you can hear that, but yeah, the brakes squeak. It's totally normal. We put a little heat in them. They're going to squeak. They are carbon ceramic. But going back to the steering feel, it's got terrific steering feel, very responsive, right off center. I don't feel any lag, any delay, what I felt with the Z06, which a lot of people were upset with me for pointing out, but that was the case. Yeah, immediate response. Look at that. Look at that. Instant response. No hesitation. Man, you could really hear every pebble getting kicked up into the wheel wells back there.
which is kind of normal. You've got Cup 2Rs on this. The cars with these types of tires, you can hear everything. Plus, it's a little stripped down. There's less insulation. So, yeah, you can hear everything. But going at highway speeds, we're going 60 right now. It's quiet in here. It's not bad. I don't really have to yell. I just feel like I should be, just because it is a sports car. It's a track car. But it's quiet in here. I could certainly see myself tracking this thing, or I could see myself driving it all the way down to Miami for 220 miles. So there is a lot of usability out of a car like this, no matter how bonkers it looks. Now, the key component, and I know a lot of people are going to wonder, how does this compare to the GT3 RS that we just did the other day? Obviously, at the time of production, which would have been 2022, this car was competing with the 991 GT2 RS. They have basically the same recipe, 720 horsepower, obviously from two different types of engines, but very similar in feel and performance. The Porsche, now I can speak for the GT3 RS, I haven't driven a GT2, but the Porsche feels more agile. And I think that has something to do with weighing 400 less pounds. This, for being this gigantic elephant of a car, maybe more of a rhinoceros because of this massive front end over here. This is a little bit more subdued. They've still kept a bit more focus on retaining some of its GT qualities. Let's just put it that way. But still an equally impressive car because it is a little bit more usable day to day compared to the Porsche GT3 RS. All right, let's do a quick pull. Oh, that's red line. Man. Woo. I love this car. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Mercedes in general, but this thing has completely blown me away. Still, overall, I think this thing is absolutely fantastic. I'm not really sure if it's worth $330,000. I need to drive it some more. But so far, I could see myself, if I had the money, of spending that kind of cash on this product. I could certainly see myself owning a car like this for $340,000. There's no doubt about it. I'm very, very impressed by this car. I'm very impressed by straight line performance, which I should mention, 0 to 60, 2.9 seconds. Quarter mile, 10.9 at 136 miles per hour. That is not as fast as a 991 GT2 RS, but it's not too far off. If I had to have one Mercedes, and only one, in my garage, this would be the one. This would be the one. This thing is absolutely sensational and just a riot, complete riot. If you like cars like this, cars just put a massive smile on your face. Do like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel. If you love this kind of stuff, we've got more coming. We've got a lot more coming. Thank you for watching.